Hello, everybody. Welcome to Tantum 505. Welcome to the channel if you're new, or welcome back if you're a lovely subscriber. Uh, Today, I'm going to be continuing my top 100 album series. And before I begin, I got to give my usual shout outs. And of course, I gotta give shout outs to my friends who've been watching these videos. Thank you very much. Um, Always appreciate that. And of course, I also got to give a shout out to Ryan Cam and Jacob Martin for listening to the albums as well as been going along. You guys have been giving me kind of like the extra drive to record these, so I appreciate that. And well, and of course, Scott from Sound Lab Studios and Jason from Jason the Millennial, they've been doing their top 100 albums on their respective channels, so check theirs out. And well, that's about it with the shout outs. But this album is album number 46, Friends by the Beach Boys. This album was released June 24th of 1968. This album kind of continues the more lo-fi approach that the Beach Boys kind of took from their last two albums, which was Smiley Smile and Wild Honey. And this is the lowest selling album at the moment for the Beach Boys. Didn't really do well for them because not only do people not care for their because people still think they're kind of like because they still have that Beach Boys name, so people are like, the Beach Boys are no longer cool, and not only that, but they just they kind of lost their fans with Pet Sounds because they kind of lost the surf act. The kind of any fans who were looking for the surf rock stuff or their fun songs are kind of left from there. And of course, there's just other competition at the time, like the Beatles and all that. So it was a hard time to be a Boy fan at the time. And it was just not a good time for the Beach Boys commercial wise. In the UK, the UK loved them. I think the UK were I think at this point the Beach Boys' biggest fans were of the UK. As of America, though, they were really they really weren't. They didn't really care for them. Like in the UK, this went to number 13, which I mean, looking on previous albums, like Surfing USA or Surfer Girl, those albums went pretty good, like 17 and 13, and Uh, Pet Sounds went to number 2, Smiley Smile went to number 9, Wild Honey went to number 7. So the UK, they're starting to really appreciate the Beach Boys around this time, and I mean this album went to number 13. So the UK, they're loving the Beach Boys right now because they're no longer in that surf rock period, and they're like, wow, like if only the rest of the world liked the Beach Boys as much as that of the UK. I mean, in the US, this went to 126, which again was like the lowest the Beach Boys album has gotten up until that point, which is it's a shame. It's a real shame because this is a good album. It's a good album. And what makes me love this album the most is that this album had such a big influence from Brian Wilson. People don't really give credit to that. People always say, not Smiley, Pet Sounds and Smile, those are like the two big albums for Brian Wilson's influence. Even Love You, the Beach Boys Love You album, which was released in 77. That's another album people are like, oh yeah, that's like that's like the first time since Smile or Pet Sounds since Brian Wilson had a big impact on, but no, Friends had such a big impact from Brian Wilson. People don't realize that because Brian Wilson was so mentally unfit at the time. People didn't want to even have anything to do with Brian Wilson, but Brian Wilson had such a big impact on this album, and people never realized that. People just assumed that the other Beach Boys had an influence, but no, this is a Brian Wilson album, and I love that. And plus, not only does this have a big impact on Brian Wilson, but the other guys in the band too have a big impact as well. But to me, this is definitely a Brian Wilson album, in my opinion. Had a big impact for Brian Wilson. And what I like about it too is that even Dennis Wilson he's another guy who had a big impact on this album. He wrote two songs on the album, which at the time was unheard of. Like Dennis Wilson wasn't writing songs, but this is like first time you hear Dennis Wilson writing songs for an album. So that's like another big feat for the album. It's like, oh my gosh, it's just like so much big moments happening. It's like, and this album gets taken for granted. It's just such a criminally underrated album. This album needs to get more love, in my opinion. It's criminal how underrated this album is. But anyways, see, I'm already like 5 minutes into the video. It's like I'm already spewing about the not even about the album itself, but like the making of the album. This is how good this album is. I love this album. The only reason why it's not any higher is I'll tell you guys why in a second. But first song on the album, "Meant for You." It's a beautiful way to open up the album. Yeah, Mike Love singing. Brian Wilson and Mike Love co-wrote the song, and Mike Love sounds so beautiful in the song, and it's like he's like "meant for you," and then the Beach Boys like "meant for you, you," like great harmonies. Then Friends, oh my gosh, Friends, what a good song. Carl Wilson with Brian Wilson singing on this song. We've been friends for so many years. We've been together through the good times and the tears. Oh my gosh, such a good song, such a catchy song. I love the chorus. Let's be friends. Let's be friends. Great song. Oh my gosh, people never talk about the song, and it's criminal because it's such a good song. It's so good. I love that song. Wake the World. Brian Wilson with Carl Wilson singing together. Al Jardine actually co-wrote this with Brian Wilson. This is the first time Al Jardine co-wrote a song with someone with Brian Wilson. This is like the first time Brian Wilson and Al Jardine ever co-wrote a song together, and it's such a good song. One by one, the stars disappear. Bum, 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 bum. Wake the world in the brand new morning. I love it so much. Another outstanding song on the album. Be Here in the Morning. Yeah, Al Jardine sing with do the lead vocals, and it's such an interesting lead vocal. It's like high pitch. It's like I'm not I'm not gonna replicate that, but it's such a good song, and I like the chorus. Be here in the morning, be here in the daytime. Just another nice and easy song on the album. Uh, When a Man Needs a Woman. Another really good song on the album. When a man needs a woman, they make things like you, my son. Another great Brian Wilson song. I mean, it's so yeah. All these songs so far co-written by Brian Wilson, and he doesn't get recognition for it. It's so frustrating because it's such a great song. I love it so much. Passing by, you have this like really good like vocal harmony from the band. It's like it's technically an instrumental, but I like the harmonies that they're doing. It's another great song on the album. I mean, side one, it's just so good. And oh my gosh, such a great song. Side two opens up Annalie the Healer, and again another. All these songs are co-written. Like most of these songs are co-written by Brian Wilson. If you know that already, another great song. Love it so much. Uh, yeah, Annalie the Healer. Another just a great song, and talking about the Marrakesh. Great song. Little Bird, sung and written by Dennis Wilson. And I love this song so much. Little bird up in a tree. La 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 la. That's Brian Wilson doing the high parts in Little Bird Up in a Tree. Great song. Another criminally underrated song, Be Still. So haunting. Here's where I bring my big issue on the album, though. these songs are too short. They're too short. Like, just as a lot of these songs, like, just as I'm getting into the song, they end. Like, Be Still, for example. Like, I'm just getting into it. Be still, ba bum 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 bum. Like, oh, this is such a beautiful song, and I'm getting into it, and then it ends. I'm like, what the heck? Like, I'm just getting into the song, and you're gonna end it on me? What the hell? It's like this is a 25-minute album. It's like this should be like a half hour at least. It's so, like I love everything that's going into it, but man, that's why it's not any higher on my list. It's way too short. It's way too short of an album. Like almost every song on the album, it's like I'm getting into it, but then like it ends. Like Wake the World. Oh, it's great. Ends. Annalie the Healer. I'm like, oh, I'm vibing to this, and then it ends. I'm like, dude, let the song keep going on. I want to listen to more of it, and ah, that's my biggest gripe with this album. I love everything on this album to death, but man, that's my biggest problem. That's my biggest issue with this album was that the songs just end way too short. Uh Busy Doing Nothing. It's the second longest track on the album. I love this song because it's perfectly length. It's not long. It's not too long, but I love it so much. There's actually a part where Brian Wilson. It's like this is like the only song that one of two songs that Brian Wilson wrote on his own, and this is the one he actually sung on it because the other one was Passing By, and that was like I said, that was like an instrumental with the harmonies. But this is such a great song because it's like basically Brian Wilson singing about like how to get to his house. There's like a part of the song where he's singing about basically giving you instructions how to get to his house at the time, of course. And great song. Diamond Head, pretty good instrumental, I must add. Really fun song. Transcendental Meditation. Some people might hate the song, but I get that. But to me, this is like psychedelic jazz, and I love it. I love it. It's just like another fantastic song on the album. I love this. I love this song to death. Transcendental meditation. Can you emancipate the man? It's it's like psychedelic and crazy, but man, I love the song so much. I mean, this is probably the longest I've spent talking about an album, and I have so much to talk about for this album. I can't wait to talk about this album at some point, like when I do a review on it. But anyways, top five. This is the hardest part of the album is to do the top five because man, there's just so many good songs on this album. Uh, I'm just go. This is like one of the few times I do this. I'm gonna go top to bottom. Number one, I'm gonna go with "Be Still." Such a haunting song. Number two, I'm gonna go with "Wake the World." Number three, "Busy Doing Nothing." Number four, uh, I'm gonna go with "Transcendental Meditation." I love that song. And number five, "When a Man Needs a Woman." If any of you guys have any thoughts on this album, please let me know in the comments because this is a fantastic album that I have a lot to say about it. I mean, look, I spent 13 minutes, almost 14 minutes talking about the song, about the album, and just like, love it to death. But anyways, thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you guys next time. So long.